age of steam. Made in Britain, it was one of the greatest technological breakthroughs the world had ever seen. The train powered Britain's rise to the summit of imperial power, and it changed everything from the food we could eat to the work we could do. Born in the 1830s, the age of steam lasted 130 years and then was gone. But today, as the rest of the world powers towards the future,
Blokes on the track.
a network of 22,000 volunteers and 4,000 staff, like station managers, signalmen, engineers, and drivers, are working together on 130 heritage lines, carrying 8 million of us every year.
To see the sight, the sounds, the smells, the steam, the coal, everything. It's all there. Wonderful.
This is the story of the people who are keeping our railway heritage alive. For them, the age of steam never ended. This is Steam Train Journeys. The Welsh Highland Railway stretches across 25 miles, from Carnarvon down to Porthmadog. Its success depends on the unending dedication of an army of 1,200 volunteers. None more devoted than 80-year-old Cedric Lodge, the railway's oldest fireman.
Firing a steam loco like this on this line is comparable to playing an instrument, a musical instrument, in an orchestra and playing a long piece of music with all sorts of variations along the way. And there are many things that you get in music where you've got to get it right to make a good performance.
When Cedric steps off his stage for the day, he doesn't leave his beloved engines behind. His house, nestled just outside Carnarvon, provides him with a first-class seat for the action.
I fell in love with the place on site. To have a house here, with the railway running alongside it, the property, was absolutely fantastic. What's not to like?
Cedric has dedicated his working life to the railways for the past 60 years.
The greater part of my working life, I was a mechanical and electrical engineer with British Railways. I started out on steam locomotives as an apprentice. We almost believed it would go on forever, but nothing is forever. We've been living here 25 years. You can see the fence line, and between the fence and the bushes at the other side is the railway. I very often walk out and wave and see who's on, and they blow the whistle, and, and we have a lot of fun. I feel part of it. Even when I'm not on it, it's still part of me and my life as they come past. It's not something I want to escape from. Why escape from paradise?
It's 10 a.m. And whilst most 80-year-olds might have a leisurely day to look forward to, the railway waits for no one, not even an old hand like Cedric. So today, like every Wednesday, Cedric's off to work for his weekly shift. And a fireman with his years of experience knows all too well that a locomotive crew marches on its stomach.
Got to pack the sandwiches, the essential part to keep the inner man alive. Corned beef with beetroot and a touch of mustard. Fantastico. The other essential ingredient is a can of tea.
Today is a high season day, when the railway operates their busiest timetable, so everything has to run like clockwork.
We're in good time, fortunately, which is a good thing to be. And we'll join the train when it comes from Porthmadog in about 10 minutes' time.
In the summer, the trains on this line are jam-packed, running 7 days a week, carrying up to 1,600 passengers each day. As the hungry engines need to be fired for 13 hours a day to keep this service running, they require 2 daily crews. Cedric is taking over the Garrett 143 engine for an 8-hour afternoon shift at Dinas Station.
We're waiting the train from Portmaddock on its way to Carnarvon. We do a token change here. I've got the Carnarvon Dinas token. When it comes in from under the bridge, I'll make the change and give this to the fireman. It's your authority to occupy a particular section of track, and only a loco with this token can occupy that track at any one time.
Swapping the token with another crew while their train is travelling at 5 miles an hour is no mean feat, and one that even the most experienced of firemen can sometimes slip up on.
Do you want to keep hold of that one then?
No, you can keep...
Luckily for Cedric, this train is scheduled to stop here for its crew changeover, so there's time for a slightly less pressured handover.
Bungled it.
With the correct token safely in hand, and his pride still intact, Cedric can now board the engine and ride the few miles to Carnarvon Station, where they will drop off this morning's passengers and pick up the customers for an afternoon excursion through the heart of Snowdonia. It's Cedric's job as fireman to make sure the engine is fully serviced and ready to depart on time for its outgoing journey. From filling the boiler with water to raking the ash out of the ash pans from this morning's trip.
All part of the fun of operating a steam loco. All right, we'll take them. He's joining us at Dinas.
Most importantly, onboard chef Elizabeth has the sandwiches for the driver.
Yes, please.
So both engine and crew are refueled for the first leg of their 50-mile trip.
All done.
With the passengers ready and waiting, they'll hopefully meet their scheduled departure in 10 minutes' time. The Great Central Railway in Leicestershire stretches 8 miles from Leicester North to Loughborough Central. This weekend, their passengers are being transported back to the 1940s for the railway's Wartime Weekend, an annual event where visitors dress up in period costume, ride the rails, and experience a time when heritage steam was in its heyday.
This is one of our most popular events at the GCR. Railways played a massive part in the war, and we're playing our part to recreate that so people can appreciate what wartime Britain would have been like.
During World War II, the railways were a lifeline for both the public and the military. These very locomotives would move vital equipment, munitions, troops and food supplies around the country. Today, they'll be expected to carry passengers between sites. And with up to 3,000 people expected, Duty Traffic Manager Scott Manley will need to treat his timetabling like a military operation.
We'll claw the time back. We've had to strengthen our trains to 9 coaches, the maximum we can run here, and they will be full. Real intense timetable. We operate under a large team of volunteers who've got such a passion for steam railways. There's equally as many people who are into wartime reenactment, and they come down and they share their hobby with ours, and it's a nice mix. Railways and 1940s go well together. It was part of the golden age of steam.
Scott's assignment is to transport passengers between the railway's 4 stations, each transformed for the day into a different military camp, with reenactors creating a hands-on experience. At Rothley Station, the German army are consolidating their camp.
You need both protagonists in a battle to be able to portray, what really went on. I personally think the uniforms are better. It is interesting to note the differences between the two sides.
For Sturmbahnführer Steve, like many here today, it's a hobby that's slowly become an addiction.
You start to become a collector of certain bits of memorabilia, and then it becomes very, very difficult to stop. It's as much fun as you can have with your clothes on, really. We do invest a lot of money in the uniforms, trying to make them look right. Even down to sitting down eating your rations, you want the public walking past to see that you are using period utensils. It is our best attempt at a living history sort of display, really.
In one go, they got to empty the round.
Meanwhile, down in Quorn and Woodhouse Station, the Americans are on patrol. During the war, this station was home to the 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment of the US Army. 2,000 troops stored their equipment right here in the yard and spent 2.5 months preparing for their D-Day landing in Normandy.
They were based in Quorn, which is just down the road, and that was their pre-D-Day home, and this was all their training area and everything, and that's the unit that we represent as a group.
We do get dressed in green and we do pretend to be other people, but when you actually get to speak to genuine people who remember it and they say, oh, I remember this and I remember that, and they tell you the stories that are linked to when they were youngsters and the Yanks were here. They told stories of being given stockings and chocolate by the Yanks and things like that. And that really makes it so real about what we do. You know, it just makes you feel that you're doing something worthwhile.
I grew up around this railway and I've always had an attraction and appeal to it, and to be part of an event like this is fantastic. I never thought that I would be involved with organising this type of event. It's a real honour and a privilege.
The British public were urged against leisure travel during the war, as the railways were needed for transporting troops and equipment. But today, civilians will be arriving in their thousands. And as their most profitable event of the year, the railway will once again be reliant on the might of their engines to pull it off. The South Devon Railway runs for 6 miles from Buckfastleigh along the River Dart to Totnes Riverside. Locomotive manager Ray Lee is in charge of keeping their engines rolling. Most days he can be found down in the workshops, getting up close and personal with the locos. But today, he's having a well-earned day out, driving on the line.
Bloody wonderful day, innit? Getting paid for doing your hobby again, innit? Eh? I mean, where else can you do it?
This afternoon, Ray isn't operating an ordinary locomotive. He's in charge of the auto train, a unique setup where the engine, instead of being at the front of the carriages, is placed directly in the middle of them. The driver sits in special control cabs at either end of the carriages to see the path ahead, leaving the fireman working alone on the 46-ton engine. So teamwork between the two is crucial. Today's fireman, ex-National Railway worker Colin Arms, knows all too well the perils of this style of working.
Well, I've been doing this for 52 years now, so... But you're never too old to learn. You can always make a mistake, so you have to have your wits about you all the time.
The fireman and driver are separated by 2 63-foot carriages, making communication extremely challenging. The first auto coaches were built in 1928, well before modern technology, but the railway boffins came up with a simple solution.
If the driver needs to speak to me and ring a bell, one to start, 2 to blow the brakes off, and 3 to stop.
I've just pushed the bell there twice for him to just blow the brake up a bit because the track's levelled out a bit here. This is connected to the regulator on the engine by some rods.
Ray's control lever is connected to the engine via mechanical linkages underneath the carriages. Through it, he can remotely control the regulator, which adjusts the amount of steam leaving the boiler, which in turn controls the speed of the locomotive.
As you can see, you've got to really push on it a bit.
But Colin, just a couple of carriages away, is working blind, and any unexpected move of the regulator from the driver risks the fire on the footplate getting out of control if he doesn't see it coming.
This controls the amount of air that's sucked into the fire. And if the driver shuts the regulator and that is shut, you can have the fire come out here. So you've got to try and anticipate when he's going to shut the regulator so you can keep this under control. When I first started auto work, I was 21 or 22, and we used to call the drivers old boys. Now I'm older now than what the drivers were when we called them old boys. I prefer firing to driving, but at the tender age I'm at now, sometimes it does get a bit arduous. So, although it's only a 7-mile branch, it does have its moments.
This branch may be a short one, but it has an illustrious history, tying back to our royal family during the Second World War.
This is what they call the Royal Mile. This is where the royal trains used to come up and stable overnight time, whenever they used to be in the area. This is what it used to be. Travelling used to be like this, didn't it? You know? You get on a train to go home from school, and this is what it would be like. When I was at school, and I did my apprenticeship as a commercial vehicle fitter, never thought I'd ever do this. This never was going to happen.
As the train approaches Totnes Station, Ray and Colin's long-distance partnership is about to be put to the test.
There's no skill in driving, skills in stopping. Anybody could get it to go. Everybody will tell you it's the braking that matters.
So run into a station now.
One of the quirks of operating the auto train is that whilst the driver can put the brakes on, only the fireman can release them. So in order for Ray to stop the train in just the right position at the station, he and Colin, communicating only with bell signals, need to work as a team to subtly adjust the braking speed until they reach the correct position. Luckily, they are both pros at this delicate manoeuvre. Colin just eases off the brakes to prevent the train from stopping short of the platform. And like a well-oiled machine, the pair are able to expertly bring the engine to a stop in just the right position to offload their very satisfied customers.
How do they? All right?
I think going on a train like this, I don't know, you get to sort of really experience a train journey in a way that you don't in your normal day-to-day life. Normally when you're travelling on a train, you're like in a rush to try and get somewhere. You're not sort of taking in the idea of, oh my God, look how pretty the train is. It's been hot.
Really hot.
But it's been really fun.
With the passengers safely off the train, it's up to Colin to replenish the engine's water level. Keeping it steaming all the way home will once again be down to him alone. It's 11:30 a.m. at the Great Central Railway, and the 1940s weekend is in full swing. The platforms are crowded with paying passengers and lieutenants alike, and the station yards filled with tourists inspecting weaponry and interrogating the officers. With lunchtime fast approaching, these armies will need refueling. Luckily for them, there's no rationing system in place today, and cafe manager Kathy is preparing to feed the masses.
We are going to be mega busy. So we're expecting to feed probably about 2,000 people. It's nice for us to dress up and be part of the weekend. It's nice, it's hard work, but it's good fun, and I think it brings the railway together.
Very important for the railway. This is where we make most of our capital. We have several events throughout the year. This is one that we really make a lot of money on, that helps us run the Heritage Railway, keeps it all going. We couldn't do it without the public either. Over the weekend, we're looking between 8,000 and 10,000. It's a big event. It does take up to a year to organise the whole thing, a whole year.
We go across the land, be it sun or snow. We're the newest regiment in the USO. And maybe that's in a wink, we look out for GIs. And when we end the show, we blow a kiss goodbye.
Whilst the tourists stroll leisurely through the camps, Scott is anxiously pacing the platforms to keep the trains moving.
Upper box, DTM, down train completing platform 1 with tail lamp. Thank you, cheers. Should get this one away on time. We've got 11 minutes to get the next loco on, so it should be all good.
The railways were massively important, transporting freight, weapons, troops. One of their main targets for the fighter bombers and stuff like that was marshalling yards and railway system. It was that important at that time for transporting around. They used to deliberately go out looking for trains and everything.
Back in the kitchen, victory rolls and pinnies now in place, Kathy and the team are going great guns to feed an army of hungry visitors.
Lots of people in for breakfast already, and it's going to get really busy now. It's lunchtime.
Ignoring any requests for veggie burgers or avocado on toast, Kathy's on a mission to serve up authentic British wartime fare. But it's not everyone's cup of tea.
I did bread and dripping one time, toast and dripping, but nobody, the young people didn't know what it was. And one or two people had it, but it didn't take off, so I've not tried it. I used to do corned beef sandwiches, but again, it's not very popular.
Undeterred, Kathy has settled on a dish that Gestapo officers and GIs alike will approve of.
Oh, it was the cheese and onion pasty tray. These are very, very popular. We'll get through. I've got 3 boxes ready to sell.
For the reenactors at Quorn, this is a well-needed chance to refuel. This afternoon, the Allied troops are decamping for the day's main event, a hotly anticipated battle reenactment where they will face a showdown with the Leicestershire Nazis.
We'll be leaving here and we're all going down to Rothley. We're going to be doing a small skirmish down there for the public to watch. Who's going to win? We don't know. We'll find out.
It's 1 o'clock in the royal town of Carnarvon, and 80-year-old fireman Cedric Lodge is ready to depart for his journey, firing the Garrett 143 on the Welsh Highland Railway. But while Cedric might be all fired up for the trip, the flames in the engine aren't looking quite as sprightly.
It's a bit thin.
I know. You haven't killed it, have you?
Well, I've just been trying to put some coal in to put some fire.
Let's have a look. Right. Fire's not brilliant. But we've got 8 minutes, so we've chanced to pull it round. And I'm going to spread some of these burning bits onto the bits that are not burning. And hopefully that will get it going.
After some hasty shoveling, Cedric is able to bring the fire back from the brink. But it's cost them precious minutes, and they have a strict schedule to keep.
Right, we're off. Carnarvon departure 5 minutes down, but we've got a good fire, plenty of water. The pressure's coming round. We've recovered and we're going along steadily. Steam engine and the locomotive are the closest thing you're going to get to a living being. And they've got moods and characteristics all of their own.
Let's hope his loco's not in the mood this afternoon. As today of all days, Cedric needs to keep his eye on the ball and avoid any further delays. Today's driver, Paul Lewin, also happens to be not just his boss, but the general manager of the whole railway.
This year I celebrate 40 years of working on the footplate. I started when I was 15. Work that out for yourself. I spent 9 years as the fireman and therefore 31 years as a driver. And I think it's said that when a railwayman starts with a railway, they put a badge on his hat, and I'm still wearing the same one.
The Welsh Highland Railway was originally built to serve the region's slate quarries. It's been running as a reopened heritage line since 1997, when Cedric began learning to fire. But to begin with, the engines burned oil rather than coal.
We were on oil for about 10 years after that. But I mean, in comparison, I would say oil is for sissies, coal is for men. Of course it's tiring like any exercise, but no pain, no gain.
Cedric may feel optimistic about the workload now, but he still has over half the journey ahead. And firing a 5-hour trip requires a good deal of stamina. As well as feeding the fire, Cedric needs to multitask at every station to keep the service moving.
Looks busy.
As well as continually changing the token,
Here you go, Paul. Red Gallop, Pont Croiser,
Thank you, mate.
permission to proceed.
Pont Croiser.
he needs to check in with the guard about any of the line's 5 request stops. Very small, unmanned stations where they only stop if local passengers have asked to disembark there.
Nantmore,
Nantmore.
centre of the world.
And finally, there's the small business of preparing the engine for a series of 4 tunnels, the longest of which stretches a full 280 metres.
I'm going to put the lamp on in preparation for the tunnels.
It's hard work, but as they approach the halfway point of their journey, just on schedule,
Just coming into Port Maldock Harbour Station.
they have a ready-made welcome wagon waiting for them around the corner.
My fan club.
Even if he's exhausted on the inside, Cedric knows that at the end of the day, it's all about first-class customer service.
In the 1950s, people didn't travel by train because they loved trains. In the main, they wanted to get somewhere. But here, they come specifically to ride the trains. That's why we're here.
Goes back to your childhood, doesn't it?
Blast from the past, I
Blast
think.
from the past, yeah. All goes back to the memories, doesn't it? Memories of being young.
2.25 hours on it today. Thoroughly enjoyable and recommended to anybody on it.
People have come for a day out. And in that, they want to be entertained. So we do our best.
At Totnes Station in Devon, Ray Lee is preparing for his return journey, driving the auto train, assisted by fireman Colin.
You see him just going, thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.
11 out of 10. But for you blowing off, 9 out of 10.
No, I didn't say nothing about that.
As the engine on the auto train is unusually placed in the middle of the carriages, the train can move in both directions without the need for the engine to turn around. So all that's left for Ray to do is stroll down to the second driving cab at the other end, while Colin reconnects his controls.
Yeah, I'm taking off the leading regulator rod. Now, in a minute, we'll put up this one, which is so the driver can drive from the front. Well, if you've got no real unhooking to do, you stay in this fixed formation. So he's changed ends now, and he's now driving from the Ashburton end. All I have to do is keep a sharp lookout, make sure nobody tries to board or get off the train.
The pair won't speak again for the rest of the journey, and will need to trust each other 100% to operate the train safely.
Wave to my door in public.
Within minutes, the train is back on its return journey. Away from the roar of the engine, Ray can get back to nature.
In the morning when you come down, the buzzards will fly up in front of you because you're disturbing all the rabbits. Sometimes of an evening you'll get deer walking up the track. Yeah. But some people go to work in an office, don't they? Or commute, you know, into the cities and everything. Just look what we're working in. Beautiful countryside.
Back on the footplate, things aren't quite so serene. Colin knows that without Ray keeping an eye on him, he's on his own.
It is about trust. I have to, when you're up here together, you have to know that your mate's doing the job properly. And it's up to the driver. If he thinks the fireman is falling behind a little bit, the driver has to make the final decision. Up here, you've got to make the final decision yourself. He's got to trust me and he can't even see what I'm doing.
When you're on the engine alone, even an old hand like Colin can still make mistakes.
If you do forget something, the train would stop. If you forget to do something, which, you know, would be quite embarrassing.
But it looks like Colin may have spoken a little too soon. Without Ray's watchful eye keeping things on track, the fire has been getting too low, causing the engine pressure to drop. And sure enough, before long,
he's run out of steam.
the train is only a short hop from Buckfast Lee, but Collins made a bit of a miscalculation. In his haste to get home, he hasn't fed quite enough coal into the firebox. And without enough heat to produce the steam needed to propel it forwards, the engine's run out of puff.
He ain't gonna live this one down, is he? That's a southern bloke. We're very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. The fireman, who we are working as a team, seems to have run out of steam. There's the station. Okay. So I do apologise on behalf of the South Devon Railway for this delayed. I will go back and give him a little telling off in a minute. Okay. Hello, Drive.
Any questions?
I've apologised to our passengers in there.
Even the professionals get it wrong.
If you'd like to apologise to the passengers going back there, all right?
Yeah, so what'll happen?
We have refunded these up here.
That's fine, that's fine. My back is full, so it's got to be.
Well, to live this one down. Steve?
That's it.
Ray may have escaped the wrath of the passengers for now, but with the engine at a complete standstill and the fire still low, they need to act fast to keep their customers' good humour. To get the engine moving, Colin needs to add fuel to the flames, fast, to get the water in the engine boiling again and producing enough power to propel them the last 500 yards to the station, so that the stranded passengers can disembark, while hopefully managing to save some face.
He's just cut it a bit too fine. Yeah, a couple more shovelfuls and he'd have made it, so. But we're gonna have to fill a form out now. Run out of steam, approaching the station. And there's the bloody station.
Once the fire has been coaxed back to life by Colin, the engine finally has enough steam to propel it down the last 100 yards of its journey. Unfortunately for the crew, it's a full 20 minutes late arriving into Buckfast Lee. But Ray, at least, blame-free from today's incident, will be dining out on this one for some time.
The fireman, that Colin Arms, is never going to live this down. A few pints on this one, but apart from that, it was a good little trip, wasn't it? It was a good little trip, yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that.
At the Great Central Railway in Leicestershire, Rothley Station has been turned into a German-occupied village in France, and it's about to experience an Allied invasion. 2,500 people have paid to travel on the railway today, and they are now packed into their line-side seats, ready to watch the spectacle unfold.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good Abend, meine Damen, meine Herren. Welcome to Rothley Station. What we have in front of you here is a small railway station, close to the Normandy coastline, occupied by German troops in transit.
As the reenactors prepare for combat, anticipation is in the air. Over 18,000 reenactors stage battles like this around the UK. And although today they're only firing blanks, the troops still need to be on high alert.
You've got to be serious doing the battles. They're fun, they're entertainment for the public, but for the people doing it, we are playing with weapons and explosives. So you've got to have the safety and the skill behind it.
The battle, choreographed for today's spectators, is entirely fictional. But for those on the ground, it might not always feel that way.
It does give you an impression of what it must have been like to be under fire, and certainly you would imagine yourself sometimes to be more courageous than you actually are. Sometimes I find myself cowering behind some other people, you know, because I am genuinely frightened, even though I know that hopefully I'm not going to come to any harm.
The costumes, weapons and vehicles might be authentic, but today's mock battle is allowed some artistic license. It turns out in this parallel universe here in Rothley, that it's the Nazis who carry the day.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the 3 whistles have gone. The battle is now over. Hands up who bet the Americans to win. Thank you very much.
A fair few comrades have fallen in combat, if only temporarily.
I didn't survive personally. Trying to escape from the Americans, I managed to knock my hat off and pull the insignia off on the netting as well. But as you can see, it's all been repaired, so no harm done.
As much fun as the gunfire and pyrotechnics might be, the reenactors know that the real purpose of today's event is to keep alive the memory of those who gave their lives during the war.
Between coming back from the battle and just now, we've had a lady pushed up to us in a wheelchair, randomly. She's a resident of Quorn, she's just over 90, and she's just sat there and spent half an hour telling us about her memories of the 505th in Quorn. And it's things like that. That's why we do it.
They go hand in hand, don't they? They're the heritage side. We're very, very old. We're over 100 years old ourselves. And in between that, the war happened. So try to recreate how we are. It's living the experience, relive it, recreate it. And that's what we're here for, basically. Keeping it all in everyone's minds very fresh.
As the tourists troop off home and the soldiers change back into their civvies, there's no denying that the whole day has been a fitting tribute. Not only to the troops on the front line, but also to the railways, who once again today have kept everything moving. For operations manager Scott, who's just waved off his last loco, it's time to put his feet up.
It's been a good day. Successful, tiring, but yeah, really worthwhile for doing.
Over 150 miles away, in Porthmadog, North Wales, veteran fireman Cedric Lodge is halfway through an 8-hour shift on the Welsh Highland Line.
I like Wales, always have done, ever since I came for my first visit and learned about the geography and the culture, and particularly the history.
It's 3:30 p.m. and he and driver Paul have just set off on the return leg of their afternoon journey.
Well, that was a very quick turnaround, and we set off with minimal fire. But we've got plenty of water, pressure's going north, we've got it under control. Right, flashing light.
But in about a mile's time, the route begins a steep uphill climb. With the fire already low after a hasty departure, Cedric needs to feed the flames to give the engine a fighting chance of getting home on schedule.
It's one of those things, it's a little and often. If I want to be cynical, I could say firing is where it's at, firing is the art. He just stands there and pulls the lever.
Cedric, you're fired.
Luckily for Cedric, his careful preparation, as well as keeping him in a job, has got the engine over the steepest part of the line and onto the home stretch.
We're approaching our house, which we will pass in about another 300 yards. Passing my house when I'm firing on here gives me a sense of intimacy between me, the loco, the railway and the countryside, all melded together, and it's very special.
Cedric's house is a welcome sight, as it marks the final homeward stretch of their journey. And to his relief, they've made it back to Carnarvon bang on time. But although the passengers are soon disembarked and on their way home, it's a while yet before Cedric and Paul can do the same. Before the engine and the crew can go to bed, it needs to be driven into the yard so that they can clean the ash from today's fire out of the firebox.
The drench is on, so it's putting water into the ash pan to slake the ash. And when it comes out, hopefully it'll be all cool and wet. This is rocking the grate, and the bars makes the bars go like that. And as they do that, the embers drop through.
This is one aspect of the fireman's job that has changed since these steam trains ruled Britain's railways and thousands of people were employed keeping them on track.
Don't really mind it, but it'd be nice if there was somebody else to do it. On British Rail, we had what they called preparation and disposal sets of men. And the disposal men would come along and do all this, but we haven't got anybody, so we do it all.
After firing this loco for 5 hours straight, over 50 miles of track, it's no surprise that Cedric might hark back to the good old days, when help was always on hand. But tired and covered in coal dust as he may be, for him, every day on the footplate is something to be appreciated. And today is no exception.
I'm ready for a shower. I'll be glad to get my boots off. It's been a dream, really has. The engine steamed like a dream. We always had enough steam and water. It's been fantastic. And I just wish every day could be like this.